Well, the carcass is complete. The shelf pins are drilled, Euro hinges are installed, and the doors are ready. So it's time for us to move on to our last component, which is the top. I'm going to make the top out of 5/4 cherry, and that's going to be a really solid and nice looking thickness, and it'll really cap this guy off nicely. Here I have the board that's going to become the top. You can see I found a really wide board at the lumber yard, and this is going to be perfect. Now the first thing I'm going to have to do is cut it to rough length, and then after that I'm going to rip it in half. And the reason for ripping it in half is it's going to be easier to surface and mill when it's half the width. I have a 12-inch joiner, so this 13-inch board wouldn't really fit anyways. But I'm going to get a lot less waste when I rip it in half, and it's very simple to glue it up, and probably it'll be really difficult to notice the glue line anyways.
Marking the board with pencil helps me identify when to stop when I'm foursquaring this board. When the pencil marks are gone, I'll know that this face is completely flat. Here I joint the face of the board, then I will run it through the planer. As you might recall, the foursquaring process was illustrated in part 2 of this series, so definitely take a look if you need a refresher on how to do the proper foursquaring for solid stock.
Here you can see that when I put the pieces together, there's a gap here, so this isn't ready for glue up yet. In order to be glued up, this is going to have to go together seamlessly. So I'm going to run the boards on edge through the joiner. This is a very important step when doing any type of panel glue up. Here's the board that we ripped in half earlier to surface. You'll see that there's almost no discernible seam in the middle when it's perfectly edge joined here, and you'll be surprised when I split it that that's actually 2 boards. So when we glue it back together, it's going to be perfect. The glue up was completed successfully. The seams are looking good, and the panel is very flat. So it's time for us to go ahead and finish sand it. To do the finish sanding, we're going to use the Festool ETS 150 EQ random orbit sander. This is a 6-inch 150mm pad sander. I've got the hard pad installed, which is good for large flat surfaces. This is a multi-jetstream pad. We're going to go all the way from 80 grit to 220 grit and prepare this top for our Danish oil finish. Here I'm using the Rubin abrasives from 80 grit, 120 grit, and 180 grit, and Brilliant in 220 grit, because Rubin didn't go past 180. Rubin's great for sanding bare wood. That's what Festool recommends, so we're going to be using that for this top. It's very simple to attach the paper. It's hook and loop paper, so we'll just line up the holes to the holes on the pad, and we'll press that down, and it's ready to go. So let's get started.
I'm just taking a block plane and breaking the edge. I'm not going to use a router edge here. I want it to look handcrafted and have a unique signature, so I'm going to choose a block plane here.